One, this is Nick Allen with Better Together, a community page dedicated to actions of the community to advance better goals and working together for a better future here in Grand Junction, focused on education, organizing, and democracy. Speaking of education, tonight we have Council Member Jason Nguyen. We're really excited to have him. Jason, just go and tell us a little bit about yourself, like what brought you to council and how long you've been serving.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Name's Jason Nguyen. I have been in Grand Junction since 2010. And I was initially ran for council in 2023 and was elected. And um, I moved here shortly after undergrad, after studying chemistry, and took a job with Department of Energy. So my background is in the hard sciences, and what really brought me to council was, I guess, a desire to kind of help shape the direction for the community. Really, um, I think a scientific background kind of gives you a certain perspective on decision making, and I think
Mhm.
it's an important one that often probably gets missed in decisions. And so that's, I think, part of what caused me to decide to run. And I had a son around the time that I decided to run too. And so, yeah, kind of a mix of different things, but um, glad to have been elected and glad to be with you tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And I gotta admire you for a little bit here, but like running with a kid, I'm exhausted. Our kids are about
Yeah,
the same age. I, I can't imagine being on council with it, but we appreciate
totally.
it and your
Yeah.
service. I think we had scheduled this interview. I don't know, this past weekend we I think had talked about it. Really excited to have you on. Obviously, a few things have happened since we touched base, and we want to give you an opportunity to respond. So, a little bit of background. There was a opinion piece put out by the Business Times, and they had found a comment, a reply you had made to a post. I didn't see the original post. It was on a private page that I'm not a part of, but seeing the reply had mentioned that, folks, and I'll paraphrase here and feel free to
Mhm.
add your portion, but paraphrasing that those that had opposed businesses that had come out strongly against Fourth and Fifth Street, that those that cared about Fourth and Fifth Street shouldn't shop there. That in effect an economic boycott on those that were in opposition. And I know you as a good man. We've worked together for a while on things, certain projects. And so it surprised me. It definitely disappointed me. I'll be honest. And especially as a council member, your voice really matters in whatever you say. You kind of give that up, and I've held other electeds to account with that. Of at the end of the day, you still represent no matter what. Um, so that's not the only issue I wanted to get into tonight, but let's go ahead and let's tackle that one. Tell me what happened and kind of just, I guess, give us an explanation as community members.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I think the kind of context here is, to your point, it was in a private Facebook group. I thought I was functioning as a private citizen, um, and I was replying to a post that was like 4 or 5 comments deep. So I think part of the context here is I, and I should probably back up also and just probably from the get-go say I do not stand by what I said. I
Mm,
regret what I said. I think it came from a place of emotion. I'm deeply sorry for those who felt that I let them down or that I was attacking them. I didn't feel like I was using my platform and role as a council person when I said it, but I obviously understand that it's basically impossible as elected to take off your hat completely. So I get the criticism 100%, and I acknowledge that, and I think that there is valid criticism there, and I'm willing to accept that. Um, I'll also just kind of note that in addition to all of that, I'm pretty disappointed in myself for the
Mm,
comment because um, I think how I've tried to operate as a council person is, I think, in the same spirit of this channel, honestly, is functioning like our society functions better when we kind of work together to solve issues and we kind of approach issues with an abundance mindset versus like a scarcity mindset. And I think
mhm,
I kind of got sucked into this scarcity mindset of like, oh, if we're going to take out the bike lanes, well, I want retribution, and that's completely unhelpful. And I totally acknowledge that. And I'm sad that I kind of got sucked into that because I think that's what people honestly hate about politics
mhm,
is when we can't find a way to work together. And so, I yeah, I regret the comment 100%, and I acknowledge the criticism for sure. And I kind of want to build on it too, because and sorry if you can hear my son in the background.
no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Um, so I feel like I really lost the plot a little bit
Mm,
by kind of creating this false division in downtown. I am somebody who is like, for somebody who doesn't work or live downtown, I feel like I'm downtown a lot, like
mhm,
3 to 4 times a week on average. And like downtown is like the part of town that I probably care most about. It's like where our small business thrives. It's kind of our cultural center. It's our kind of the beating heart of the city. And I
mhm,
think to kind of create this false division in downtown was um, kind of short-sighted and
mm,
not very thoughtful. Um, and I think that I just yeah, I think the threats to downtown are really like kind of these mega conglomerates like and these big box stores and these chain restaurants. Like
yeah.
we shouldn't be creating divisions in downtown. Like downtown is where like the uniqueness of a place is. And so I that's kind of why I'm super disappointed that I even thought to like suggest this, because like downtown is yeah what I care deeply about. And so I hope that that's clear to folks. And yeah, I'm deeply sorry for folks who feel like I attacked them, but I don't think I was trying to use my platform to
Mhm,
do that, and I don't think it was the right message and regret it. So um,
certainly.
and then I also just want to touch on one other piece too.
Mhm,
There has been some folks who have reached out and kind of questioned my ability to separate my kind of personal beliefs from kind of my role as council maker as or role as decision maker on council as a result of this. And I definitely hear that concern for sure. And the example of a decision I made recently where I kind of separated those two was back in March around the 29 road project.
mhm,
So, I worked, um, I'm definitely on the record of being very, very, very skeptical of the 29
mhm,
road project. And there was a decision before council of basically, do we spend do we spend, I think it ended up being about $1 million more to kind of get this project to the next kind of milestone where it kind of makes sense to stop, or do we kind of just completely cut all ties and end it where it's at and kind of leave it in pieces, I guess. And I decided and deliberated a lot, honestly, because I don't think the 29 Road project is the right one right now. But I ended up deciding to move that forward primarily because I think that um, kind of political winds can change on issues. Like it took, I don't know how many times to pass the rec center.
sure.
Like so it takes multiple times to pass like the high school. Um, and just because I don't necessarily like the project doesn't mean a future council might not see value in it. And kind of setting that up um, felt like the right thing to do. And so that's why I moved that forward. So I think that kind of demonstrates that um, even though I might be skeptical of a project, I can still set that aside if there's kind of a something that I think carries greater community value. So
Hmm.
just wanted to note that.
Yeah, and I think, going off two things and then a follow-up question. So like for one, yeah, you mentioned just that, it can be people can be frustrated with I think with just like local politics or like politicians, like making things as like personal or what have you. And I'd like to say too, like it's refreshing to have someone apologize. Like and I've seen feedback on that of, oh, he's just apologizing because he got caught. Oh, but all the same, we've seen so many people double down, and so I think that's a great step. I think there's other steps that can be taken. I mean, my question to you, like, what can you do in this position now to like do you think can encourage people to get downtown more? And I think your initial approach with the pilot project, honestly, was to get more people downtown. And I saw that in some ways. And like
Mhm.
I was been on the record of being pretty ambivalent about it, to be honest.
Right, right.
I'm terrible at parallel parking. Just ask my wife.
Mhm.
Um, I had to do it on the left side once, and that was a mess. I don't have a bike, but I appreciated having shorter crosswalks with my 2 year
Mhm.
old. Very
Right.
nice. Very nice. So I understand where it was going. I understand the difficulty. But so that project is, on ice. So what are some ideas or what's some things that you can do to try and help encourage that vibrant downtown that you're talking about? And you're true. There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Right.
competition. There's a lot of pressures with big business, conglomerates, what have you. And we love our downtown. It's vibrant and it's something that needs to be helped, like you said.
Right. Yeah, one of these ideas that I've kind of been not working on, but like suggesting and kind of chatting with folks a little bit about is um, I, I, I think activating it more frequently in a way that kind of centers people.
Mm,
So um, the example that I think is being thought about by DDA is like periodically like
and what
closing
is
down.
what is a
Oh,
DDA?
sorry.
Sorry.
DDA is Downtown Development Authority.
Okay.
Yep. So they kind of make a lot of, they have a budget, small budget, and they make a bunch of decisions about downtown. Um, but I think, and this came from a constituent, so I definitely can't take credit for this idea, but I thought it was a good one, was like figuring out a way to periodically close down Main Street, like on a
Hmm.
much smaller scale than like the farmers market,
Okay.
like just between like Fourth and Fifth, ironically, or um, like because like that's kind of like if you're trying to run an event, it costs a lot of money to actually like shut down all of Maine, but being able to do it
Mm,
on a smaller scale is kind of a way to maybe let smaller events like kind of utilize like yeah, like Main Street's like the cultural hub and like the most vibrant part of town. Like, can
hmm.
we create a like a less financially burdensome way for them to um, kind of host events and that type of thing? So
Okay.
uh, yeah, I don't know exactly where it stands. I think they were going to try it out last summer, and then I don't know kind of what came of it, but I haven't followed up
Hmm.
on it this year. But I think, yeah, figuring out different ways to kind of activate downtown is gonna be good. I mean, yeah, just last weekend is honestly one of my favorite weekends to be in Grand Junction in downtown. That's just the Rides and Vibes Fest. I was
Sure.
downtown all weekend, live music, big bike race, and yeah, downtown had a lot of people there, and it's always exciting to see it activated like that.
Yeah, and we just had my family and I went down to Cinco de Mayo. That was
Hmm.
great.
Right,
We got some food carts and we got some, bagels at Main Street and like,
right,
we're always down at we love the breakfast down there too with Dream Cafe. So I mean there's some beautiful
right,
things and I know you're supportive of it too. And so
totally.
um yeah,
And
well,
I'll also note another
yeah.
idea I just thought of, and it's already coming, but I think the housing downtown, the added housing downtown is going to be transformative, honestly, for it.
Mm,
And I think kind of having Hilltop going in to the old Wells Fargo. Like we're mixing in more retail or kind of business office space
Hmm.
and then residents. Like I think it'll just be kind of naturally probably more active as these residences come online. So I think the extent that we can kind of support that, I think it would be good.
Yeah. So new housing, a
Right,
new, like one of our larger employers coming down to downtown too. That will
right.
be, yeah, I think there's a lot of vibrance in there. Well, I really appreciate talking through that. I'm sure there'll be more questions, of course, but
Mhm.
you know, you have our support here, to be honest. Like, I
Yeah,
think, people make mistakes. Um, People say unintended things. You care a ton. You ran on multimodal. Like,
right.
people knew what you ran on and you won an election on it. And so you're passionate about it, and things, can be said, but I think you care about downtown, and you recognize what you said, and looking to make, amends, and, that's appreciated. So that's not the only thing I wanted to talk about tonight.
Mhm.
Actually, one of the reasons I asked you to come on is just to kind of hear about your future, here with, at least you got 2 years left on this first term.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, what are some of your top priorities going into it? And I think would love to kind of hear from, let's just kind of start with the public recreation side, the people getting people active.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm very, very excited to still be serving when the rec center opens. Like, I think that that's going to be obviously a community gem. And yeah, I think that the community decided to invest in it. I think it'll be really cool to see that through, given that it passed when I was elected and will be opening, I guess, about a year before my term is done. Um, I think other recreation things, I know a lot of your viewers are probably super interested in the OM pool.
Hmm.
I have been I think I would say I'm open to the OM pool. I I hesitate to commit fully just because I think that as a decision maker, the amount of usage it gets matters. And so I think until the rec center opens and until we have an idea of the usage, um, I think it's hard for me to like full throated like say yes, I
Right.
want to do everything we can to keep it open. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. I will say that if it were to stay open, I think what could make a more compelling case from the city's perspective, I imagine, is now that because they tore down that basketball
Yep.
side,
Yep.
I think hybridizing it so it's a pool and some other amenity that
Mhm.
is like underserved, I guess. Um, and so I'm wondering if there's like an approach there where if we can kind of mix it with another type of facility that we lack in the community, I think that that could create a strong case for kind of keeping it open. And yeah, I don't necessarily have any specific ideas around that, but
Sure.
um, yeah, I think that would be an approach. And um, in terms of yeah, like funding, like rec districts, I mean maybe even just normal like city budget. I'm kind of not tied to one concept,
Mhm.
especially if the usage is strong even after the rec center opens. Like there's maybe a case to just keep funding it out of the regular city budget.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
and like get it into the queue for the Parks and Rec kind of master plan and um, for kind of upgrades and whatever. So
Right. I love that. Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's been a while since we had this conversation, but it was around accepting the proposal from the school district of the building and the land. And the way you described it to me is you said you'd be willing to accept that deal. You wouldn't be able to necessarily guarantee that it would stay a pool. And
right, right,
and so I think, I mean, that's we in communication in my mind, like, yeah, let's take that step and then start that conversation for
totally,
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And I think in all the Parks and Rec planning documents, it's my understanding that having some sort of recreational amenity in Orchard Mesa is a priority, and so um, whether that's a pool, a field house, whatever. Um, I think that that's kind of where the uncertainty lies, is like what is it and where exactly is it, and that type of thing, and
Yeah.
when is it? Yeah.
Right.
So
Right. No, I appreciate that. And I mean, obviously, and you hit it on the head. We care deeply about Orchard Mesa Pool, and just recreation here on this side of the
mhm.
river. So one thing we've been doing at Better Together is interviewing local unions has been a big push. And we got to interview Bryson Rasmussen, who's the president of the local 2028. And I believe did they endorsed you on your
It did. Yep.
okay. So they're I think on path to ask to be recognized. What's your opinion on that?
Mhm.
Have you thought about it much?
I have, yeah. So, and just to maybe provide some context for the viewers, I think there's kind of two paths for them getting recognized. One, direct to council, um, and one direct to the voters, or I think council would probably refer to the voters
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
recognition. There's advantages and disadvantages to each, if I remember right. I think the advantage of direct to council, it's less effort for everyone involved, because ballot measures are hard.
Yeah.
Um, and um, I think maybe the advantage from the city's perspective is it gives council some amount of control over, I think, whether or not they continue to be recognized in bargaining.
Hmm.
And then the ballot is, yeah, higher lift, but then because the voters said they're recognized, I think it would probably take, I don't know if it would be like a vote to undo. I don't know
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
what that looks like, but I think that's kind of the main difference there. I'm honestly leaning towards council recognizing them,
Hmm.
because it sounds like, yeah, I am generally in favor of unions, and I think they're an important part of kind of society that has really kind of ebbed quite a bit over the
Hmm.
decades, and I
Hmm.
think that that has really hurt the middle class. And um, yeah, so I'm very supportive, and yeah, I'm that's definitely the way I'm leaning. And I think there is an advantage to the city too, in that, like, if it's ever not working, council can be the one to be like, okay, well,
Sure.
this isn't working for us. So um, yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I know that's what the firefighters union has been asking for was that council recognition. So I think there would be great support there. I appreciate those words for sure. That's
Yeah.
close to our heart. Uh, One thing we do on Better Together is when we have an elected rep is we like to ask a spicy question. One where we disagree. And so you actually already mentioned it. Um, you voted to finish the 29 road uh like survey project study.
Yep. Yep.
Um I was surprised.
Hmm.
Um you and I worked some together, a good amount together on opposing
Hmm.
29 road. And I want to
Yep.
say with the county coming out and saying we really got to tighten our belts this year, I think they're very happy that they don't have to have like another 2 million that they would have to pay for right now. I feel like the
Hmm.
city is very happy right now as well because that
Right.
money's not coming from the Fed anytime soon, as we knew.
Totally. Yep.
Um, so what happened? I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's so many other projects. I mean, especially transportation. Like, let's get more buses. I see like so
Yeah.
many bus. There's a bus stop right by my neighborhood that's between a canal, and you have about 3 square feet to stand, and there's no like bench. There's no covered bench. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
there's so many things we can do with money for transportation versus like a project that could be decades on decades down the road.
Yeah. Totally. No, I definitely hear that. Yeah, I think part of it for me was there was some amount of federal funding that was more or less tied to this project that I think would go back if we
Mm,
didn't. And that probably is ultimately what tipped the scales for me. I do think that, like, there is, yeah, like I explained before, there is some utility in getting it to a place where it's kind of wrapped up. Because, like, yes, the voters voted it down. They could have voted it down for any number of
Right.
reasons. Like maybe they just didn't like the ballot language, like the how it was structured. And
Hmm.
that's actually one of the reasons I opposed it was I didn't think it was right that the county, like I think the only kind of if we care about transparency, like the only way to do that in the most transparent way is have each entity vote, each entity's voters vote on it independently because they're like we kind of assumed that oh if everybody's in the city is a counting voter then they'll have their chance but I don't think we there's definitely a chance like a potential outcome where they break how we don't expect and like we
Hmm.
won't know if we don't kind of ask each set of voters independently so
So a
um
city vote and a county vote versus
right
just the county with the city paying in
yeah
itself.
yep and then back in 2023 my first year the proposed um, language was just going to be the city voting, and that one was probably the most problematic because basically it was like the city committing the county's voters by passing it,
Hmm. Hmm.
and yeah, so like from a legal perspective, like the most clear way to do it is each voters independently pass pass their own measures because like if they're paying, like they should have an independent say on whether or not they're paying for their half and I get like people are like, oh, but what if one set passes and one doesn't. Well, I think that that kind of tells you what
They're
you need
not
to know
gonna,
about the
yeah.
project, honestly. So I don't think we should be afraid of that. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, did I? um, Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you on like, are there other transportation projects? And that, I mean, that's at kind of at the heart of why I oppose 29 Road is
Right.
like it's a very expensive solution to our transportation problems. Like, let's make sure we exhaust all the smaller projects first. Like, can we create like if everybody's really excited about the 29 Road project for the benefits along Patterson and North, like, well, maybe we should be looking at projects that address
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
traffic concerns on Patterson and North before we kind of build this. Uh, yeah, I don't even remember. I guess 100 some million
Yeah.
with interest. Yeah.
Right.
So like that's kind of what I would like to see come out come out from the city and the county is like let's make these investments and if X number of years down the road, like we have an unsolvable problem with um, traffic that it can only be solved by this interchange, like yeah, then I think I could support it. But um, it feels like we kind of jumped to the biggest, most expensive solution first, and
Hmm.
that feels out of the order of operations that I would expect.
Sure. Yeah, there's low hanging fruit. There's
Yeah,
low hanging fruit that I think is necessary to at least try. And yeah, so just kind of I guess final question and then we'll put a wrap to it and I'll stay on a little bit longer after letting you go. But um life is all about change. So there's a recent big change on council.
mhm.
Um, what are you looking forward to most with this new council?
Yeah. I would say I am looking forward, and I'm going to generalize here. I I expect that I kind of have some different thoughts from some of the new council folk on these issues, but I don't know. I think my theory for change involves like kind of finding collaboration, like kind of finding that abundance oriented solution where we all recognize like we can push in the same direction, even if we're like not going exactly the same direction.
Hmm.
Like it's better to push in generally the same direction and kind of create more lasting change through that process of like kind of finding some amount of consensus. So yeah, I'd say that I'm looking forward to that new challenge because I the previous council, like, yeah, it's fun to work with people you agree with, but but maybe there are kind of more lasting changes we can enact when we kind of build consensus on from both sides, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think there could be some really interesting partnerships that come out of
Yeah,
that. I
totally.
I surprise myself sometimes with the allies I run into and make, and it can come up with some cool things.
Yeah, totally.
So Jason, thank you so much. Thank you for, taking on these issues head on, recognizing, who you are, and we all strive to be better people. And I really appreciate that. I'm glad you're staying on council. That's going to be huge. Your voice is really important. People voted for you, support you, and recognize that a mistake was made, and you owning up to it is huge. Is there, on that note, like a good way to get a hold of you for people just to
Mhm.
like, check in?
Yeah, yeah. Jason N at gjcity.org is my um, email, my city email, and then my council phone number. And I apologize for not having it committed to memory.
That's okay.
My council phone number is 970-773-4104. And I do a pretty good job of staying on top of my emails, but
Okay.
feel free to call me as well.
Sure. I mean, you're a working dad, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in live today. Got to have a great conversation with Jason Nguyen, council member, and a lot more ahead here. So we just want to say thank you again, Jason. We'd love to have you back on. Maybe for a town hall for a full hour would be awesome. And yeah, just keep plugging away. You're always welcome here on Better Together. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
Of course. Have a good one.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you all for tuning in live. It was great to have Jason. I mean, he's a good man. I appreciate him a lot. And Better Together is we're willing to talk to anybody here. And I really want to see, if you are still upset, you still are pushing back on the comments that he made, and the apology thereafter. I believe him. And when people tell me who they are, I tend to believe them until proven otherwise. I'm a big believer in don't make the same mistake twice. If we see another mistake like that out of council member Nguyen, 100%, I'll hold him account too. I'll be right there with you for those calls. Um, no, I don't think he should be recalled. No, I don't think he should resign. I think he said something dumb, and I think he's extremely passionate about multimodal transportation and making things safer for people to walk and bike and all these different things and things that honestly need to happen. We can't just keep building more roads at the end of the day. We are going to run out of space, just literally. So when I read the piece from Business Times, and I want to say right now, Craig, you're more than welcome on this show. Um, I know you have your opinions on me, but again, it's an open door. But comparing comparing Jason to and his comments to the road to Nazism, of saying this is gonna now next step is putting things in windows and patches on people, when honestly we're like sending people to gulags in Venezuela right now as a nation. Like, we try and keep things local here on Better Together, um, as much as possible. And we have migrants in this community. We might even have Venezuelans in this community. Um, and so to just throw that out there seems sad, and not aware of the moment we're in. So if you'd like to talk about that, Craig, hit me up. Better Together is ready to have that conversation. But overall, um, a hiccup, a bump in the road for a good guy, and we want to see him improve, do better. I think he will. I believe he will. He brought up some ideas about keeping Grand Junction and downtown vibrant. He recognizes that the new council has a majority in the regards to Fourth and Fifth Street, and we need to start looking for better solutions there to bring back business, to strengthen business. I know my heart broke when I'm seeing stuff around B Suite struggling. we just lost Sweet Kiwi down the road from me. I mean, big business is putting its boot on small business and has for as long as I've known and will continue to do so. And that's why it takes a community to support the local businesses. So, a recommendation that I would give Mr. Nguyen, if he has time, and I know he's a busy man, he's a working man with a family, but if you could hold a community coffee down at B Suite, there you go. Like, let's celebrate our local businesses. Let's empower our local businesses and bring customers in. I I love that place. It's great. You know, we get cakes there for families. And have had nice breakfast burritos in B Suite. It's right across from the courthouse too. My work takes me there sometimes. So yeah, if you're watching this right now, you know what? I'll be there tomorrow too. I'm gonna go get some coffee there tomorrow and say hi. So make sure support our local businesses, support your local news as well. Hey, I have my disagreements with Business Times, but I'm happy they're around. I'm happy they're bringing stuff up. And yeah, they broke a story, and that's good. It's good that Jason came out and apologized for that, and it's good that he was held to account. And it's important that we start working towards our future here too. So support local news. You can support Better Together. Our project, again, is education, organizing, and democracy. So bringing Jason on, uh, getting his perspective on things like Orchard Mesa Pool, the Firefighters Union. You know, we're really excited to see those things continue to move forward and support it. And if you wanted to subscribe, we have a Patreon. I'll put that in the link. Every dollar helps, and we really appreciate it. And again, thank you all so much. Have a great night. And we have an interview coming up in about a week. We'll be announcing that here shortly. So thank you again for tuning in and have a great rest of your Thursday. Thank you all so much. Bye bye.